very vein, the first question that we're going to ask today, and I'll get you to lead with it, is what is it that you're really buying? What does that mean when it comes to exploring the idea of buying your own business?
Well, I think that's a really, really good question, because it's a very open question that some 92% of businesses in Australia employ less than 3 people, and they have aspirations, and they have a whole range of things to try and come about when they buy a business and build that from either some time in the business cycle to where it is today. And I often like to reflect upon what people say, James, and Anthony Belinskin says, in business, when you buy it, be undeniably good. No marketing effort or social media buzzword can substitute for that. So when you buy a business, the fundamental platform, the footings of the business is you need to be fundamentally good at what you're going to do. That's not negotiable. And that's key, because we can look at all the metrics of why you buy it, economic, social, political, and all of those things. And any type of SWOT analysis will tell you what to do and so on. But at the end of the day, if the driver is not about becoming and sharing with you and to the people that you wish to have in your world, in your tribe, about being good, then it will fall apart. We can look at, economies of scale and fixed cost and variable cost and what provisions for bad debts and all the really big technical things and contingent liabilities. But if that's not enveloped around the whole notion of being good at what you do, then I think that's going to be a problem, because any business can look good on paper.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And then with respect to what you're really buying, Mark, I'll hand over to you first and then followed by Iona, about the idea of exploring, I think, what a organisation's personality is, and talk to perhaps some of the elements that are up there in front of us today and how they might contribute to that.
Depending on what your strategy is, it's very different. When you look at an organisation, you look at the asset of that organisation that is very specific to your strategy going forward. If you were Kogan buying Dick Smith in recent times, what you were looking for, what it would appear that Kogan was looking for was customers. They acquired a certain number of customers that aligned to the products that Kogan was distributing and selling, and they were buying a large number of customers and making an estimate on their stickability, their average spend over their lifetime. Now, that's very different to an organisation that might buy a strategic advantage, which could be intellectual property. They might have a trademark, a patent. They might actually have an asset there that would give a competitive advantage in that organisation. Other organisations are looking for market share because they're looking for economy of scale. Economy of scale differs for different industries and different segments, but some organisations, once they get past a 60%, Telstra is a good example of market share in a particular market, then that gives them greater economies of scale. They get greater quality, and reduce the cost of output. So market share may be something that's really important to them. Culture might be another thing. Some organisations, like particularly incumbents, banks and whatever, just struggle sometimes to become a technology leader. They do all sorts of things. They create separate businesses, skunk works. But what they're really maybe looking for is a innovative culture, and they're buying organisations or buying shares within an organisation to do that. Market position, potentially, yes, and technology also. Quite often they're looking for a technological advantage. So look, it depends very specifically on the buyer's strategic objective. They might want to do market penetration. They might be in the US and they want to get a foothold in Australia. So there's a whole range of different objectives the particular buyer would have. And you don't necessarily know that until you've done some market research. So if you are thinking of selling your business, then it's all about identifying who are the potential buyers and developing a list of 30 or 40 of those, and then segmenting them into different objectives that they might have, and then thinking about how best to position your organisation going forward to be attractive.
And Iona, with respect to, I think, human capital and certainly that culture, if you could talk to the value in acquiring something like that, is it difficult to develop internally throughout the acquisition process? What are some of the challenges in maintaining that? And later on, obviously without going into too much detail, we'll explore some of the value that it will add, but certainly with respect to culture and capital, human capital that is, the value in acquiring such things.
I think it's very true, James, that organisations are made up of people. And if we don't have the right people in the right positions, if we don't have a culture that's inclusive and forward-thinking, that encourages innovation, that encourages our people to be involved and to have an opinion and to invest themselves in the organisation and invest themselves in their roles and our clients, we really can't leverage any niche that we operate within. And depending on the scale of the business, often we're small business owners or we're medium business owners, and we operate in a true niche because our product is something that is needed. So our people are our biggest asset. And one of the things that I would always suggest that we look at is our people, is the breadth of skills that we have, for example, in our workforce. And is that workforce going to be able to take the organisation forward to the next phase of its development? So if I was looking at my business, I'd want to know how well it was resourced with those people to actually take the business in the direction that I might want to look at it too. Because forward thinking and forward practice, the world is a rapidly changing place, and we have to be adaptable as business owners, and we have to have products that don't just have current demand, but we should always be looking at future demand as well. So that human capital aspect of any organisation is incredibly important. We need the skills base to take us forward and knowledge base to actually be able to influence that process and support that process. So people and culture is incredibly important. And our management structure and how we actually approach that. What do the job families in the organisation look like? Are they adequately resourced? Is there gaps is there an obvious knowledge gap that we might need to actually backfill if we were to if we were to purchase our own business or purchase any business really? So people are everything. And the scale of the business obviously will determine the number of people and our human capital, but investing in human capital. So we may actually look at the business and we might say, well, we need to invest in this area of the business to build the business as we acquire it, to take it forward into the next phase where we want to take it. People and culture are incredibly important.
Can I just add a little part? Iona, that was fantastic. It's really interesting because as leaders, what's critical with human capital is that those in positions of influence, and we all have influence, but those in the front line, in my humble opinion, and this is really critical to understand, need to tell the story. And right now with COVID-19, it's been an incredible story, and it's really tipped things upside down, thrown them out, and done a whole range of things. So I think one of the most careful crafting skills when you're buying a business and having a business is for those to step up. And I'm reminded by Jason Kalanis, who was the founder of a company called Launch, who says fortunes are built during the down market and collected in the up market. So it's precisely now with your people that you tell the story during these challenging times that help you reap those rewards in the good times. And that to me is really cutting edge thinking. Now is the best time to be in business. We're not saying it's not challenging. We're not saying that you shouldn't be doing these things. That's all part of the risk and return in a free enterprise system. So the storyline between people and sharing that pain, those challenges, those resources will stand you in good stead going forward in growing your business, and particularly your own business that you have right now in this COVID-19.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jim. And look, I'll